The James Show Podcast.
The redistricting maps are blocked. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, just trying to figure this out because it's all happening right now in real time, right before the show is starting. And to give me an assist on the Texas story, because we're going to start with the bad news first, Brian Harrison's back on, local state representative who makes a lot of noise in the Austin arena. All right, give me the summary. So the maps got slapped down by some judge. Now what?
Yeah, no, and I'm just always great to be with you, my friend. And yes, happy to make the noise down in Austin. Someone down there has got to be willing to fight for the millions of Texans who still cherish freedom and liberty in our state. So yeah, this is it's developing. So still trying to get my head around this opinion, but to get folks caught up, everybody remembers that over the summer, the Texas legislature passed new redistricting maps, something we absolutely needed to do, and we drew 5 new Republican seats to our map. Quite frankly, I think we could have drawn even more, but whatever. We got 5 in there, but a panel of 3 federal judges today basically slapped those maps down because the leftists, the Democrats, have sued over the maps. And basically saying, this was racial discrimination. And I want to be really clear about that. I have no reason whatsoever to believe that these maps were drawn along racial lines. But we should have predicted this. We knew the Democrats were going to fight this because the future of not just our state, our country, the world's on the line here. I mean, what happens here could very well impact whether the United States Congress falls into the hands of the radical, progressive, Marxist leftists like AOC. So what's going to happen next is this is going to be appealed. I think the Texas Attorney General has already committed to appealing this, so it will probably go directly to the United States Supreme Court for them to have a chance to stay this or to overturn it. And I'm cautiously optimistic, or I should say I'm hopeful probably, that the Supreme Court will step in and undo this and allow Texas elections to go ahead and proceed in our primaries, which are coming up just in March, along the lines of the maps that were passed a few months ago.
So how is this going to have any effect on the primaries that are happening next year?
Yeah, well, it absolutely could. I mean, what unless the Supreme Court overturns it, what it would mean is that we basically have to pretend those maps did not happen. And so the Democrats, or the Republicans, I should say, in Texas, are more likely to not have the 5 seats going into the Republican column at the congressional level. So what this basically means is the party of AOC and Hakeem Jeffries will be 5 seats better off than they probably would have been if we had been allowed if we're not allowed to go with the new maps. Now, what I'm going to say, though, next, and again, I'm still trying to get my head around this, the state of Texas needs to do everything we can to make sure that the U.S. Congress in next year's primaries, next year's election in general, does not fall to the radical Democrats. And so if the Supreme Court does not overturn this, we need to immediately be prepared. Call us back, Governor Abbott. Let's have another special session. Let's draw the maps again, and let's make sure that we leave nothing left on the field in terms of trying to keep the Democrats from taking over the U.S. Congress. So as far as I'm concerned, we should fight this legally with everything we've got up to the Supreme Court, but start making plans right now to bring us back and call another special session so we can pass another map and make sure that we get these extra seats in Congress. And it's worth noting, by the way, we've set a terrible precedent for this. You and I talked a lot about this during the time. But the reality is we set a horrible precedent by letting the Democrats break quorum for week after week, not punish them, allow them to leave in the first place, and then worse, reward them when they got back. So, I mean, look, it's just a continuation of the theme of weak Republican leadership here in Texas. I'm trying to change that. Texas voters want bold Republican leadership. They deserve it. The state of Texas needs to fight this in the courts, but be prepared right now to do whatever it takes to get these extra seats so that we do not lose the U.S. House of Representatives in next year's election.
All right, new people, we're talking to State Representative Brian Harrison. He's based out of Midlothian. Judge has blocked a new redistricting maps in Texas. Now, you're saying we should call this, or the governor should call the special session now, not wait to see how this plays out in the courts. You want him, but he should call it now?
Well, this is a little bit complicated. Let me try to simplify this. I do think Governor Abbott, I've been calling on him for the past many weeks to call a special session to deal with other things. For example, starting to get rid of property taxes, fighting digital IDs. There's lots of things that the governor needs to have us in Austin right now. He's touting a 5-point plan for property taxes to deal with in 2027. Give me a break. We can pass it right now. We could pass property tax relief or elimination bills before Thanksgiving if the governor wanted us to. I'm sick of this kicking the can down the road. So on one hand, yeah, I'm saying we need to be in special session right now to deal with 5, 6, or 7 things, property taxes being number one on the list. However, break, we need to be preparing to add to a special session at a moment's notice, even if he doesn't bring us back for property taxes, which he should. If the Supreme Court allows our new maps to be thrown out, the very next second, Governor Abbott needs to be making plans to bring us back so that we can pass another map and get these 5. But next time, let's not go 5 seats. Let's go 5, 6 seats. Let's go 7 seats. Let's have a maximal strategy, fight as aggressively as the Democrats always do. That's what I'm calling for right now. We need to be prepared for every possible contingency to make sure we do not lose this nation.
Interesting. So if we do go back and pass a map, I mean, what's to stop another judge from slapping it down? Do you redraw it with different districts that are slightly more amenable to what this judge just said? Yeah,
that's right. I mean, again, this is all in the hypothetical, and I want to be cautious on commenting on too much on what these judges said, because I don't know whether that will ultimately be the prevailing view at the Supreme Court, and I don't think I agree with the way the judges decided here. But the reality is the Democrats sued claiming certain things. So it is absolutely possible in the worst case scenario, let's say the Supreme Court keeps the maps struck down. Well, okay, then basically we could go back and do the maps again in a different way that don't lead to the same result in court. I hope we don't come to that. I'm cautiously optimistic, or I would hope that the Supreme Court doesn't get us there, that the Supreme Court overturns these federal judges. But I'm just basically saying we need to be prepared for everything. Because let me tell you who's always prepared for everything. That's the left. That's the liberals. That's the Marxists. That's the progressive. That's the Democrats. They fight and they fight and they fight. And I'm sick and tired of Democrats, especially in the state of Texas, fighting harder for the next generation than the elected Republican leadership is down in Austin. And that's the only thing I've witnessed in the 3.5 years I've been there since I worked in President Trump's first term, is that there's always one party that never takes a break, never stops at nothing in the battle for the future. And sadly, that's not been the Republican Party. That's the Democrats, that's the progressives, and the Republican leadership of the state of Texas. It's past time we start fighting as hard for the future as the Democrats do. And in this case now, with what's going on in real time, we need to start making contingency plans to go back and do it all over again so that Nancy Pelosi and AOC do not retake Congress just 1 year from today.
Wow. All right. Good stuff. State Representative Brian Harrison out of Midlothian. I appreciate you being on the James Show again, sir.
Always great to be with you, my friend. God bless y'all. God bless Texas.
Thank you, sir. And State Rep Brian Harrison, that's the guy we collaborated with to make the official Texas Rhino map. If you want a copy of that map, send me an email, parker@wbap.com.
On this vote, the yeas are 427. The nays are 1.
1.
2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed. And without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Think. All right. So that one vote, Clay Higgins out of Louisiana. I don't know why he did that, but that's the guy who did the viral video when he was like the sheriff of like Deer Trail Parish or whatever. When he was like, if you're a gangbanger, I'm easy to find or whatever like that. You raise your weapon to a man like me, you will return firepower with superior firepower. It was really awesome. It's that guy. I don't know why. I'll figure it out and I'll tell you later. So I'll keep my eye on the Senate if that vote comes. I don't think it'll happen before the end of the show, but I got another window on C-SPAN in case it does. Now, for the next story that you're going to be talking about with your friends, if you haven't already, there was a jogger in Plano that was attacked by a guy with a hammer. And we find out later that this is a guy who not only is he an illegal immigrant, he was actually in custody, arrested for felonies last year. The Biden administration said, we're not going to deport him. Go ahead and let him go. They let him out. And this happened. The report from WFAA.
Bob Woodruff Park is more than 700 acres of hiking and biking trails, and the people who use it.
Oh, literally every day, sometimes twice a day.
Will tell you they feel safe here.
Worry you at all, or have you had any concerns while you're out here?
Not at all. No, it's an awesome area. I'm surprised it even happens.
It was an attack Thursday afternoon. Police say a man with a hammer attacked a woman jogging on the trail behind the dog park, striking her multiple times. She fought him off and multiple witnesses called 911.
And she was severely injured.
Plano police say she was hospitalized, but the injuries are not life-threatening. And the suspect, based on descriptions and the evidence left behind, identified as 17-year-old Sergio Noe de Nova Duarte, who they arrested about 4 hours later on a charge of aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury. Plano police say the kidnapping charge is partly due to the fact that he had duct tape with him and attempted to use it on the victim. Also, we've learned that he showed up in the computer for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So now there is an ICE hold on him, too.
Immigration informed us to place a hold on this individual, and that is exactly what we did.
Friday afternoon, the suspect was expected to be transported to the Collin County Detention Center. Police not yet going into specifics on the apparent motive for the attack. But they want the public to know this particular threat is over.
There are many other individuals that frequent this area. It's fairly a safe place to be. And why this individual chose our victim to this day, to this moment, we don't know why.
Answers Plano police and now ICE agents will be searching for too. In Plano, I'm Kevin Reese.
All right, so that's a heartbreaking story here, but did you notice how they left out the part that he's an illegal immigrant? They said ICE had a detainer on him, or ICE had some questions, or he came up in a database. They didn't say whether he was a legal immigrant, he's a naturalized citizen, he's in the process, he's here on a visa. They didn't even tell you that he's an illegal immigrant in that story. Isn't that a little weird? Isn't that a good piece of information that they had, that they could have passed along, that they didn't? Now, I'm not kicking WFAA around. That's just the standard way things are reported these days. They're not doing anything exceptional. That's the norm to hide that from you. Now, demographics are the most important thing in the world if it fits the narrative. Not only will it be said in the back half of the story, it'll be said in the front half of the story. It'll be in the subheadline, and it will be in the headline. Not just some allusion to maybe, hey, there's some sort of ICE issue here. And look, in a story that was 1 minute and 30 seconds long, that was in the last 30 seconds. They buried the part that just alluded to his immigration status, that he may not be, a natural born citizen. Well, I mean, ICE had a question about him, but they didn't use the term illegal immigrant or illegal alien in that whole story. That's the norm. Now, I want to remind you what it sounds like if the bad guy is a white fella. Let's go to the montage.
Images now circulating on social media of a black man dying after being shot by a white police officer.
The Justice Department is investigating the death of Alton Sterling, a black man shot to death by a white police officer outside a convenience store.
In the past 48 hours, 2 more American cities have been convulsed by the fatal shootings of African-American men by white police officers.
Yeah, so if it's a violent crime and it fits the narrative, the race of the perp and the race of the victim are in the story. Now, do you see the headlines anywhere here in North Texas that says an illegal immigrant attacks a white woman while she's jogging in Plano? No, it's not characterized like that in the headline. Is it characterized like that in the subheadline? What about in the first paragraph of the story? What about anywhere in the story? Now, if they're doing this to you, they are lying to you. A lie by omission is still a lie. It doesn't feel as unethical as a lie of commission, an active lie, but a passive lie. Still a lie. Look, and that happens anytime it works to their advantage. Anytime you can have the victim be someone who's sympathetic to the narrative versus, evil white people, especially old white men.
Once again, it will be all white men on the Republican side of the Judiciary Committee questioning both Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford.
The Republicans that are on the Judiciary Committee, it is a lineup of white guys over the age of 50.
All the white men on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
You've got all white men on the Republican side here.
On the Republican side, all 11 are white men. The Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee, it's 11 white men. And the Republicans, it is 11 white men. The Republicans, it happens to be 11 white men.
Are these white Republican men essentially going to ask her if she's telling the truth?
25 years since the Anita Hill hearings, what hasn't changed is the number of white men. I have covered lots of these white men.
And so at the end of the day, if they have a bunch of white men, once again, defending another white man.
You have 70-something-year-old white men. No offense to them.
On the Senate Judiciary Committee is all white men.
Almost worst case scenario for a bunch of white men.
I have faith in white men. I believe they can ask fair questions.
Oh, my God. How many times does white men have to be used as a pejorative before someone gets like a little sensitive? Like, hey, that's kind of racist. That's kind of sexist. No? If this was the case that we lived in a racist, sexist, bigoted society, would I have a montage like that? Just guess how many illegal immigrant students are in North Texas schools. Just think of a number. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. The number's probably bigger than you think. From one report that we saw, 44,000? 44,000 sounds like a lot. But I was already planning on doing this story, and Casey Bartholomew did a great rundown where he found a different report, or maybe it was from just a completely different source, period, where it wasn't just talking about the issues that they were having here in North Texas. It had examples of what's going on in Miami and what's going on in Chicago and what's going on in Colorado. And I was cracking up so much. I'm like, screw it. I'm not going to try and beat him at this game. I'm just going to pull the 4 minutes of audio and play it. This is from the Casey Bartholomew show. For those of you who aren't all-day listeners, first off, you should be. But it's our mid-morning show. He's on after the morning show before Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins from 9 to 11. And this was him earlier today.
Schools around the U.S. are seeing big drops in enrollments from students. And it's costing them millions of dollars, they say. Now, the reason they're seeing the big drops, it is because of Trump's illegal immigration policies. We're deporting these scumbags who don't deserve to be here. And when they leave, they generally take their kids with them. Now, in Miami-Dade County Public Schools, about 2,550 students have entered the district from another country so far this year, which is down from 14,000 last year and 20,000 the year before. That means in the past 3 years, well, the previous 2 years, they had 34,000 new students coming in. Now they have 2,500 coming in. Think about what that means, by the way. How many classrooms is that? How many classrooms full of kids that have no business being there are now there? This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. It means maybe our school districts will improve now because the worthless illegal aliens who are raping the system aren't there. But they're trying to categorize it as a bad thing. School board member in Miami-Dade, Luis Santos, said the trend is a sad reality. It's not a sad reality. It's a positive reality. I mean, think about that. That's down 32,000 kids in one school district that we don't have to fill with a bunch of thieves who don't deserve to be here anyway. And I say thieves not because they're criminals. In that way, they're stealing education is what they're doing. The enrollment declines in Miami-Dade erased about $70 million from the district's annual budget, forcing administrators to scramble to cover the unexpected shortfall. Let's think about that for a minute. If the kids aren't there and you're not getting money for those kids, you shouldn't need it, right? Are they having to buy less hookers and beer this year? Because there's 32,000 less illegal alien children there. They only care about the money. And before you send your nasty emails, I'm not talking about the rank and file teachers. I'm talking about the administrators who are mismanaging millions of dollars that is supposed to be earmarked for educating kids. The district's newcomer academy, again, in northern Alabama, Albertville City Schools, Superintendent Bart Reeves said the district's newcomer academy at a local high school hasn't been enrolling any new students. He says that's just not happening this year with the closure of the border. He expects his budget from enrollment declines will cost him about 12 teacher positions. But I mean, I don't want anybody losing their job, but if the kids aren't there, you don't need to pay the teachers. You don't need those teachers if the kids aren't there. So unfortunately, they're going to have to go get jobs someplace else. In Palm Beach County Public Schools, enrollment has fallen by more than 6,000 students this year. The declines in the numbers of immigrants coming to the U.S. were already becoming evident in school registration numbers this summer. Denver Public Schools enrolled 400 new-to-country students this summer compared to 1,500 the previous summer. That's down 75%. Outside Chicago, Waukegan Community Unified School District, 60, signed up 100 fewer new immigrant students, and administrators in the Houston Independent School District shuttered the Last America's Newcomer School, a program dedicated to children who are new to the U.S., after its enrollment fell to just 21 students from 111 last year. I want to know if you think this is a bad thing.
Question for you. Is this a bad thing? I thought that was perfect. By the way, I love when I agree with Casey Bartholomew. But I also notice that I get emails, Facebook messages, Instagram posts from time to time saying, ooh, Casey said the opposite of what you said. Casey doesn't like Airbnbs and short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods. Or Casey doesn't think all drugs should be legal. Casey's okay with the THC ban. What are you going to say about that? Well, how come I don't get emails when we agree? Because we absolutely agree on this. It's not just that we have this giant number of illegal immigrant students that are enrolled in our school. And it's not just that a big chunk of them are going home on their own or, by deportation, by force of deportation. The most interesting part, totally agree with Casey, is the reaction of these administrators who act like this is a bad thing. You know what the number one determining factor on how your school's going to perform? It's not race, it's immigration status. And that makes sense because how are you going to be able to read on a 12th grade level if you can't even speak English? So they're not worried about educating the students who are supposed to be here, the ones who are actually doing the work, the ones who can actually speak English. They're not worried about their scores going up. They're not even worried about getting a better academic record. Just worried about money. My guest is Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. She's an immigration attorney here in the great state of Texas. And we have a couple of issues that I want to bring up with Kate. First off, welcome back to the show, Kate. It's been a while. Oh, look, the studio audience is happy to see you, too.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Oh, look at that. They missed you. So let's start with the report that I saw. 44,000 students in North Texas schools are of an illegal status. That number sounds kind of high to me. Does that shake with you? Does that sound about right?
It doesn't surprise me. This is from the Migration Policy Institute. They're nonpartisan, and what they say is no legal status. So this means that these kiddos are either undocumented or they're in some type of process that they haven't turned in paperwork showing that they're in legal status. So I think it could be a blend of different levels of status in these kiddos, but also Dallas is a huge region, huge school district. I bet there are tens of thousands of students who are, undocumented or obtaining legal status.
Well, I hear stories, and I don't know if this is a larger trend or this is just isolated in certain pockets where they happen to have a lot of illegal immigrants, but it was mentioned in Houston and Miami and Chicago and a couple other places that their enrollment of illegal immigrant students is declining rapidly. And now they're concerned because this affects the funding, the mechanism by which they're funded. They're going to lose all kinds of dollars. But also that, while I kind of hope that's true, it sounds like it's happening faster than I expected.
Oh, absolutely. Immigrants in Texas have gotten the message. Many people are leaving the state. Many people are leaving the country. Some of them are just not putting their kids in school. And it really does negatively impact the school districts. To the tune of, millions of dollars. Just a few thousand students dropping out can mean millions of dollars of loss for the school district at a time when school districts are already really struggling. So it is bad news for the schools, and it's an indication. A drop in immigrant student enrollment is an indication that immigrants are leaving the area overall, that is supported by the data around Dallas, that businesses are suffering. A lot of the sectors are having difficulty with finding labor, like the construction sector. So definitely, what we've seen in the news and the trends are matching the data at this point, and we're starting to feel the economic impact of the immigration crackdown.
Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, what advice would you have for someone who doesn't have legal status here and they have kids in school? Is this a risk you would recommend, or is there an alternative or something you can do to help their situation?
It's the same as going to hospital. If you have, a medical emergency, you need to go to the hospital. If you have elementary school age children, they need to be in school. The best thing that immigrants can do, whether they have some type of legal status or not, anyone who is an immigrant right now should be planning ahead, having a safety plan, consult with a lawyer, know where your important documents are, know what you're going to do if one of the parents gets picked up, because it is actually happening that parents are getting detained and children are being put in foster care. And it's really horrific what's happening. And people need to plan ahead as much as they can right now.
Well, a lot of this stems from the Supreme Court decision that was made, I think, in the 80s that said educational services are to be offered to all children regardless of their status. Is there any chance that could get overturned? There seems to be a whole lot of court decisions that are just coincidentally going with the big trends of the day. Could this be one of them?
There's no indication of that. The administration has not made any indication of that. There's no, cases pending. So there, of course, they have revoked in-state tuition at Texas universities for students who don't have legal status, but every child in the United States has a right to a free education, which for obvious reasons serves everyone. And I, at this point, don't have any concerns about that going away.
All right, Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, when we talk about what was life like before that Supreme Court decision, was it a patchwork of different policies that were state to state, or if we went back in time, what would that look like?
That's worthy of study, and I'm curious about that as well. I'm going to go back. It was before my time, so I didn't live it. I don't know, but it was a state level. There were different states offering education to different students, and it's probably a lot like what it looks like in other countries, where students, families that can afford to pay to send their kids to school do, and the ones who can't don't educate their children, and you end up with this real division in classes and sort of a permanent subclass of people who can't get ahead. And so there was some of that, I'm sure, happening in the United States. And public education in the United States is all about opportunity for every child. That is what our country is about. And so it makes complete sense that we would offer a free education to every child, regardless of their status.
All right, Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, good chat. I appreciate your expertise in immigration on this. You can find her at Lincoln Goldfinch Law, lincolngoldfinch.com. Thank you very much, Kate.
Thanks. Good to talk to you again.
Yep, good to see you. Coming up next on the James Show, we have, continuing with the theme of illegal immigration, we have another crime story that points in that direction. And also, for those of you who are Leonard Skinner fans, you may be happy to hear that they're going to be in town with Foreigner, Dos Equis Pavilion, August 28th. I know that's a long way ahead, but dude, it's almost 2026. Get tickets and information at livenation.com, or you can listen to the WBAP morning show this week to find out how you can win a pair of tickets. And if you want to say, James, Leonard Skinner, didn't they die in the plane crash in like the 70s or whatever? Dude, I saw Leonard Skinner like 5 years ago. It's pretty awesome. I know it's not all the same guys, but one of them is. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.